going on, guys? Welcome back. So today I'm going to be talking about my recent purchase of this Am Ds90 X, which looks absolutely incredible. But you know, does it perform the way it looks? I'll be honest, after driving it a little bit, no. Unfortunately, it looks incredible. It has a nice wide stance. It's got these factory Nerf bars. It's got really good piggyback shocks. The ride and handling is incredible, but the motor definitely leads to be more desired. So what I've been doing research on as well with these bikes is that you can do some modifications to these to get them to be faster, which is what I'm going to be showing you guys in this video, but I don't expect to gain too much from those bolt-ons. Everybody's saying that these motors are kind of junk, just to go buy a TRX90. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you today, do a little bit before and after of the performance of the bike, you know, get a GPS reading and all that, see what it'll do on GPS, and then what we'll do is I'll show you the bolt-ons we're going to be putting on, and then we'll do a direct comparison and see how that affected the bike. So let's get started. So just a direct overview of this bike. Like I was saying, it's really nice looking. It's probably one of the best looking 90s you can buy. You know, just because of the stance of it. It's real low, it's real wide. It looks like it's a track bike. You know, it's got a lot of really cool features. It's got these guards, these Nerf bars. You know, all this is factory stuff. It kind of looks like a KTM 450, just shrunken. So really aesthetically pleasing. But like I said, it's slow for what it is. I mean, it looks like it should be a lot faster. But I've ridden Honda TRX 90s, I've ridden Raptor 80s, and I feel like all of them would just walk away from this. It is automatic as well, which is good for my kids. So, you know, it's got forward, it's got reverse, which is great. Overall, it's not a bad bike. It just needs a little bit more power. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I picked up for this. And all right, so what I picked up, there's no aftermarket for these bikes, unfortunately. I mean, there is, but it's so minimal. There's not a lot of performance parts. So what I did was I added myself to the Can-Am DS70 and DS90 X page, and I found a guy who was selling these. He put it on his bike and then pretty much was like, screw this, I'm going to two-stroke swap it because it wasn't fast enough. So I don't want a two-stroke swap, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on. So this is a bigger carb. I think it's a 20 or 22 millimeter key-in carb. High flow filter. Came with the new throttle cable and all that. So this is a direct bolt on. He said he had it tuned already, so it should be pretty much just bolt these on and go. Then he also gave me this Evo Big Gun full exhaust system. This is also just a bolt on and go. So I'm hoping this will free up a little bit more power and you know, get a little more performance out of this machine. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the carburetor off and the intake adapter. So I'm going to try to do this without disassembling the whole bike. So I already loosened this up. These bolts are just 8 millimeters. So we can undo those and then the whole thing should come out. And then these are 8 millimeter as well. So we'll go ahead and unbolt. All right, guys, so we got that all out of the way. The carb's off. The air box is off. The stock intake manifold adapter is off. So now we're just going to put the new carb on with the adapter, bolt it down, put the new throttle cable on, and we should be in business. All right, guys, so we got the carb mocked up. I don't know if I'm going to keep it this way. Everything's kind of, I don't like how these fuel lines are running around the top of the carb, but I thought this was just going to go straight back, but it actually comes out the side on an angle, so that was confusing me. So I had to take the plenum off there and separate it from the carburetor just to you know, put the plenum on first and then put the carburetor in there. So I got it all mocked up, and I'm gonna go ahead and start it up, take it for a drive, and see how it is compared to the way it was stock. All right, guys, so one thing I will say is that it's a pretty good deal faster than it was before. I've still got to cap that off or put a filter on there or something, but it does seem to it's got better throttle response. Pulls up top harder. Yeah, it seems good. All right, guys, so we're gonna get into the install on the exhaust system here. It's a little tight along the bottom, it looks like where the header pipe comes out. So the previous owner said that he had to loosen the motor mounts to get the pipe free. So I'm gonna try and get it free without it and see what happens. Looks like there's just 2 bolts up there. I'm gonna move this panel out of the way, make sure there's no other bolts on that side. and then it just looks like a couple 10mm nuts on the bottom there for the header pipe. So yeah, let's get to it. All right guys, so it's a few days later, and this was a lot harder than I thought. So you don't just have to loosen the bottom mounts, you have to take all 4 motor mounts out to get the motor to move enough to get the pipe out. The problem is this pipe has this funky little attachment on it, which I'm not sure what that's for, but it hooks up to a rubber hose. It might be emissions related, I'm not sure, but this makes it a real pain in the ass to get the pipe out. So what I had to do is I had to undo all 4 motor mount bolts. I used a ratchet strap to help hold the motor so it didn't just drop straight into the frame. And I called one of my buddies over. He lifted the motor up by laying across the back of the bike and just like picking it up with both hands, one on each side, to lift the motor up enough. And then I was able to take the pipe and slide it out that way. So it basically comes out of the bike like this. I'll show you, because this was actually pretty tricky. So it's like this in the bike. You basically have to turn it, and then it goes out that way, out the left side of the bike. That's the only way that we were able to make it come out. It was a real pain. So then putting the new pipe in is easy, because the new pipe doesn't have that stupid little piece that sticks off. So that goes in, same side, you know, no problem. But you do have to remove this guard, this foot guard right here, to make enough clearance for the pipe to come out this way. Once you do that, it's easy. So now what we're gonna do is, I got the new pipe bolted in to the head. So I put the 2 back motor mount bolts in. I'm gonna let down a little bit on the ratchet strap here, and then put the other 2 bolts in, one on this side, one on the other side. Get that bolted down, and we can start putting the pipe back on. All right guys, so we got the exhaust on, all bolted up. I just gotta put this heat shield on, but that's pretty much it. That's how it looks. Bolts up there. No other bolts anywhere else. It's kind of close to the motor and the chain. I'm hoping there's no issue there, but I guess we'll see. There was no clamp there for the muffler to bolt onto the pipe, so I just used like a gear clamp just for some extra insurance that I won't have any type of exhaust leak. So that's pretty much it. I got the carburetor back on, the plenum back on, and it's pretty much good to go. I just have to start it up and see what she sounds like. So let's try it. All right, so it's running. Sounds pretty good. Give her a little rev. Sounds pretty good. I'm gonna have to take it for a ride and make sure that the carburetor's tuned right and everything. It might need a bigger main jet just because of the exhaust, but we'll see once it warms up, you know, and see what it does under full throttle under a load. So take it for a test drive and come back and see how she does. My personal opinion on the machine, I think it's set up great for new riders. It's really low, it's really wide, it's nice and stable. The suspension seems to handle well, even with me on it. You know, I took it through the trails and it handled really nice. The main thing is the motor. It doesn't respond really well to mods. I mean, even with the carburetor on there, big intake, full exhaust system. I do need to tweak the carb a little bit to get it tuned properly, but it's not fast. I know people are doing, you know, clutch modifications and sprocket modifications, things like that to make these faster. But without doing a whole lot of work to these, they're not fast at all. If you're looking for something that, you know, your kids can just ride around the neighborhood, or, you know, your block, or you know, through the trails or whatever, it's perfect. You know, it's automatic, it's got forward, it's got reverse, which is great. Like I said, it's got a real nice stance to it. It handles well. It's got these factory Nerf bars for safety, which is awesome. But if you're looking to be competitive, I would say start with something that's a little bit better out of the box, like a TRX90, even like a Raptor 80 or something like that. If this had a motor swap, if this had like a TRX90 engine in it, it would probably be the best kids bike that you could buy, because the TRX90 is a 3-speed foot shift. It responds really well to modifications. It's not really limited from the factory at all. And I've ridden a TRX90 before, and even with me on it, a TRX90 will probably do about 35 miles an hour bone stock, whereas this is limited to 30. So you can get an aftermarket CDI. They're very hard to find, but I'm going to try putting a CDI onto this that will get rid of the rev limiter, or not the rev limiter, the speed limiter, and also bump up the RPMs by 1,000. So we'll see if that works. That'll definitely help because it's governed to 30 miles an hour, which kind of stinks. So even though all these mods are on it right now, it's still limited to 30 miles an hour, which is kind of a pain. So, but yeah, either way, the total investment of the modifications cost me about $400. I just happened to get lucky and find somebody that online that was selling them used in like new condition. But to try to source aftermarket parts for these is very difficult. There's not a huge aftermarket for them, so you have to take that in mind as well. So yeah, thanks for watching the video, guys. I'll be doing a little bit more to this machine as time goes on, but just figured I'd give you my overview on it, and just kind of like a DIY on how to start modifying this if you decide to go with this machine. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.